Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today we are finally going over the North American Nationals Top Cut breakdown. Yes, we are a week past Nationals. I know it's a bit later than I normally do these Top Cut breakdowns. I try and do them the following Monday, but I did a community post asking you guys how you'd prefer it. If you guys wanted to see all the deck profiles first, because I basically had a week full of deck profiles that I posted throughout last week. If you want to check all those out, make sure to do so. Or if you wanted to see the Top Cut breakdown first. And the answers were like kind of evenly mixed, so I picked the one that worked out better for me. I posted all the videos of the deck profiles first, and now we're here doing the Top Cut breakdown. Reason for that is when I got back from Nationals, things were a bit hectic. I'm starting a new job this week, so I had to get ready for that, had to get settled back at home, take care of some things here, so it was kind of easier for me to do all the deck profiles. And now that I have a bit more free time, now that that week's over, I can do this Top Cut breakdown. So we're gonna get into it right now, guys. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and let's talk about the top 16. So here we have the top 16 of the North American Nationals. Some of it is very expected, but man, about half of this is like really out there. So firstly, let's cover first place. We have Icarus. We'll get more into like the in-depth breakdowns in a bit, but we'll talk about this as more of like an overarching thing first. So again, for Icarus, I gotta say personally, I did not expect Icarus to have this much rep in the top 16, nor did I expect it to win Nationals. I did a lot of content both on Patreon and YouTube talking about how Icarus like really needed to prove itself in set 15, because it obviously took the biggest hit on the set 15 ban list, losing both Bojack Violent Rush and Zamasu the Eliminator getting nerfed. But lo and behold, the majority of Gohan Icarus at Nationals, or at least the successful ones, were mono yellow. So the blue yellow just got completely scrapped. Again, we'll talk more about that when we get into Icarus specifically, but yeah, Icarus absolutely dominated. Is this going to be the trend going forward? Hard to say, but at this point, now with the knowledge that we have, I would not be surprised. But we've got 2 Gogeta Xeno and 2 Soul Striker. Definitely much more expected. Very fair to assess. I actually maybe would even swap. Like, if you asked me to predict, you know, what deck would do best in top 16, I'd probably swap the positions of Gohan and Soul Striker. I'd probably assume Soul Striker would take more spots in top 16, but that's not how it ended up happening there. We also have 2 Sin Shenron, which I think was kind of expected to a degree. It seemed like there was a lot of people talking about Sin in the weeks leading up to Nationals, so that might have led to more of its popularity. And of course, all these decks were piloted by great players, so that also helps the decks convert into top 16, so that's something to also keep in mind. Then we have 1 Cell Surge. Probably expected some more of this, to be honest, although like Cell Surge is really the boogeyman of the format, so you expect people to come in with hate, and that probably took out a lot of the Cell Surge players. But I don't think there was many Cell Surge in the room to even begin with. I wish I had those numbers of like total deck representation, but just from walking around, I didn't see too much of it. 1 King Cold, this is like the fringe rogue deck that like you're not super surprised to see in top 16, but it did manage to get there, so that's interesting. I don't believe it made it past top 16. I'm pretty sure it got knocked out in the first round, but still a cool thing that it made top. Now these next 4 decks are absolutely insane. 1 Android 21, which I do actually have Rohit's profile here on the channel if you want to check it out. I know Rohit, I actually like kind of thought he might go the distance and make top 16 at Nationals with a deck that he's really comfortable with, and he ended up doing that, which is super cool. We also have Android 16 making it all the way to 2nd place North American Nationals. Absolutely insane. Like, you had to have watched the Android 16 games on stream, which I do believe are now re-recorded on Stage Zero's channel. Also, shout out to Super Players and Stage Zero, all the guys that, you know, put in the work of basically presenting an awesome national stream, and also for this graphic as well. Huge shout outs to you guys. But anyways, rounding out the top 16, 1 Golden Frieza, which was you know, my, Marcus, and Danny's kind of like pet project, and luckily Marcus was able to get into top 16 with it. And we also have 1 King Piccolo, which if you ask me, the #1 most unexpected deck on this entire top 16. Like, never in a million years would I have guessed a red deck, especially King Piccolo, was gonna crack this top 16, because I personally think red's the weakest color right now. Not to say red is bad or unplayable, but I think compared to all the other colors, it is the weakest one, in my opinion. But yeah, King Piccolo being the red deck to top out of like Jiren, Red Broly, Red Gohan, very surprising. But anyways, let's break it down a bit more in depth. So yeah, like I said, mono yellow Icarus was apparently the play for the weekend, which I gotta say, I really wasn't on it. I didn't think that mono yellow Icarus could be as good as blue yellow was, but of course it takes a bit of a playstyle adjustment because you're playing with much less energy than you were ever able to. Like, you could still play blue yellow and you'd still have energy manipulation with Bean, but without Bojack, you're obviously playing with much less energy manipulation. but these players, Andrew Duvall, shout out to him for winning the event, as well as the other players that topped with it. They decided to just cut energy manipulation altogether, and honestly, looking at it now, thinking back, I think this was an incredible play. I mean, obviously it was an incredible play, but the way I'm able to rationalize it is that the quality of the blue-yellow cards you have to play just to be able to splash Sensu Bean is no longer worth it. Like, you can play Zamasu Eliminator, which is still a decent card, but not nearly the powerhouse that it was. You have to play that. You have to play 4-drop Goku Black, which is also a decent card, but can be really hard to play in some matchups because it just doesn't leave you with any energy available. Only one energy available if you play it on turn 4 going into your opponent's next turn. So that's not always super viable. And then most of the other blue-yellow cards you have to play just to include Sensu Bean are not worth it. So that makes a lot of sense to me now after seeing the results of this top 16. So honestly, an incredible pick by Andrew and those guys. The deck's incredibly strong. If I had to guess, I would say that Lord Slug Super Namekian put in an insane amount of work. Today on the Patreon, I actually posted my tournament report for my experience with Golden Frieza. That's up there for free on the Patreon for anyone who wants to check it out. Link in the description. But the only reason I bring that up is because Rogue killed me really early, and I think Lord Slug Super Namekian absolutely smashes Rogue. It's a very hard card for just about any deck to interact with. You have to be playing barrier removal, which decks have, but it's not like super common. And still, like, you know, Lord Slug turning off like other decks draw engines, other decks super combos, that had to be a really good tool against Rogue. And there was a fair amount of Rogue at Nationals, as we can obviously see in this top 16. So I think that was probably an MVP card amongst other things. Yellow, just like, especially mono yellow, it's just all good cards. Every card is super high value, especially in the mono yellow Icarus deck. Then we have Android 16 coming in at second place. Absolutely incredible run by Jared. This was just insane. I don't know how else to put it. One of the really cool things I want to point out about the Android 16 deck is that its Cell Surge matchup is actually really favorable, and it's pretty tough to say you have a favorable Cell Surge matchup at just about any deck in this format, at least in game 1 without Deborah, Sand Instincts, and other cards that help you mitigate the discard, right? So Android 16 can actually play pretty effectively without much of a hand. Like, you get the leader effect to combo from the drop, and then you get to arrive from your energy. So basically, like, your energy is an extension of your hand. So while Cell Surge is taking your hand away, you're still able to play the game, which is an absolutely insane thing. Like, the couple of string games that I caught Jared playing, he just like put out these super crazy boards, because obviously you're blue, you have Dimension Magic, you have Sensu Bean helping you manipulate energy, you're able to arrive from your energy, so you just get to put out a crazy amount of battle cards at just about any point in the game. So really cool deck, definitely super slept on. Again, I can't believe it made it all the way to second place, but such a cool thing to see, like, this format and how, you know, how diverse it is, how you know, player skill and different strategies can really take you the distance if you're well versed in those different strategies. It's such a cool thing to see. Then we have Cell Surge. Shout out to my boy Jordan Markle for getting third place at Nationals, killing another Nationals, first place at the first ever Nats, and third place at the third ever Nats. Incredible finishes. But anyways, he decided to take Cell Surge to the tournament. He was very confident in the deck, and it ended up paying off for him very well. Again, I think that a lot of players came into this event with Cell Surge hate ready to go, but Jordan is just able to play through it. He's just such a beast. And Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan is one of the main ways Cell Surge is able to do that. This card single-handedly counters Deborah and any of the other free plays that come in and draw a card when they're discarded, mainly the Gohan in yellow and the Vegeta in green. So with this card, which I believe he main decked 2 copies of, you're just able to counter all those like main deck Cell Surge haters, which is really strong. The deck is just very impressive, especially in game 1s where players are unprepared for it. But again, I don't think this is a very popular deck in the room, and I do think that more often than not, all that Cell Surge hate can really build up and make your tournament experience kind of poor if you're playing Cell Surge. But one really cool thing about Jordan's experience is that he main decked BMS, which also helped him in the Icarus matchup, because BMS kind of just counters Icarus's Awakened Leader effect to revive a skillless 1-drop. So very good meta tech there. Jordan, absolutely incredible player. I can't say enough about the guy. Then we have 2 Gogeta Xeno. Again, very expected. I did do some talking about this deck, saying that it was pretty RNG, which is still very true. I could definitely see like some bad mills ruining some players' days, but this deck was very popular as far as I saw in the room at Nationals. So the fact that only 2 converted, maybe that makes a lot of sense, because again, like, bad RNG, bad mills could lead to very bad games. But players that were able to kind of high roll, do very well with the deck, play the deck at a high level, they were obviously going to be able to do very well with it and get into the top 16. So with 2 Gogeta Xeno, I don't think there's too much surprising about this, to be honest. Then we have Soul Striker. Again, I'm a bit surprised that this wasn't the most highly rep deck in Top Cut, but still, like, it's just one of the decks you expect to see in this format. You're going to be seeing it for a long time. The leader is just so insane. Being able to play with all that extra energy is borderline unfair sometimes. Not calling for a hit or a ban or anything. I'm just saying that just speaks to the power level of this leader and how strong it is. And I think blue yellow is probably the way to go from here. I think blue yellow Soul Striker is just really strong. It probably plays arrival stuff way better than any other blue or yellow leader in the game at the moment. So that's what I would be looking for if I was a Soul Striker player, wanted to play this deck more at upcoming events. I think that's really strong. Then we have Sin Shenron. Once again, shout out to my teammate Russell Stelzer for top 16ing with the deck. His profile is up on the channel if you want to check it out. Sin is just a very powerful deck, man. It's got all the good yellow cards, so that's obviously something you got to worry about. But the Sin 9-drop also just presents a lot of problems for a lot of different decks. You just can't really rely on a lot of your win conditions while the 9-drop is staring you in the face. And if Sin is able to get to that tap 6, which is actually super doable in this format, you might be in for a bit of a rough time. So while this deck doesn't do anything like super flashy, it is very consistent because of leader searching and because of Oceanus, and you're able to just play out big boss monsters in the beginning of the game for very cheap, and then in the late game for 6 energy, again, you just spam out a ton of dragons, basically build an overwhelming amount of advantage that your opponent's not able to deal with. So super strong performance by Sin at this event. King Cold, once again, I think you just like aren't super surprised by seeing it, but still, like, you know, it's pretty hit or miss whether it'll top or not. It's a good deck, don't get me wrong. I think the slower format like this is probably pretty solid for it because King Cold can awaken early and build up a really big hand, and it builds up an even bigger hand if Berry Blue is able to stay alive and revive field cards from the drop constantly. It's a very good thing the deck has going for it. I don't really know too much to say about this because, again, like, I don't think the deck does anything flashy. It's not like a green hardcore hand control deck. It's just kind of like a green mid-range deck that revolves around a lot of field cards. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just a decent deck in general. If you guys have more opinions on King Cold, let me know down in the comments. Anyways, though, Golden Frieza, this is the deck that me, Marcus, and Danny took to the event. Among other players, a fair amount of players were actually playing Golden Frieza from what I was able to see walking around the room. There was a mixture of blue yellow, green yellow, and mono yellow. Mono yellow ended up cracking in top 16 with Marcus. So proud of the guy, man. This deck was really just like the brainchild of me, Danny, and Marcus, at least this version of the deck that we played. The profile is up on the channel, as well as Jordan Beard's blue-yellow version that he managed to snag top 32 with. The deck is so flexible, the deck is so fun. It does require a very big engine, though, to make it work, but even though you have to play a lot of these like really weird and random cards, the payoff is why you do it. Like the ability to be a pseudo Soul Striker, untap 2, and play really powerful bombs like Frieza Divine Transformation and Return of the Dragon Fist Goku. That's why you want to play this deck, right? And it really does pay off. It's a very powerful thing. I think we still have a ways to go to like perfectly refine the deck, though, so be on the lookout for that. Android 21, again, shout out to Rohit. His profile is here on the channel. 21, man, I don't think many people would consider this like a super real deck, but one, I know Rohit, he just plays a deck and he learns the ins and out of it like no other, right? He just gets super comfortable with the deck and ends up doing very well with it. He did well with it at the Pro Support TCG weekend. I also profiled him a couple months ago. I don't remember if it was for IRL or online, regional, or bigger event, but he's just been on my channel so many times. He's such a good player. I'm super happy that he got into the top 16 here. 21, very cool deck. Another really strong, just top end ramp style deck. The Android 17-18 boss monster is very powerful, so I do recommend you guys start looking into this deck if you want to play blue-green. Maybe just a little bit different from Soul Striker, where you can play a very big bomb that will start, you know, ripping away your opponent's advantage. Very strong. And again, I've got to say just how surprised I am to see King Piccolo crack the top 16. I'm not surprised that one red deck topped. Like I could have definitely seen a Jiren topping, maybe a red Broly, maybe a red Gohan, a red Vegeta, but King Piccolo out of all of them, man, that is really crazy. Like, people just assume the deck was dead because Drum went to 1, but I believe even in other regions there are players topping with King Piccolo, just proving that the deck is so strong still. Like, the ability to free play a battle card once per turn during both players' turns is nothing to scoff at. That is a very powerful effect. With the addition of Goku Divine Presence, just being a super easy card in the deck to play because you're comboing with red cards all the time, and that card just being a super big powerhouse, it kind of makes sense looking back on it. King Piccolo is a very, very cool deck. I think more players will continue to explore it. And yeah, that's going to be Red's representation in top 16. That's going to be the top 16 in general. Overall, from like just a meta evaluation perspective, it's so interesting to take a look at this event, man. I think player skill had a big role to play, but I also think that, like, you know, unexpectedness, I think, you know, tech choices, and I think overall meta kind of predictions and matchups definitely mattered a lot at this tournament. But man, some of these decks in here are so cool. But anyways, guys, I want to know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.